The case of an Indiana teenager jailed for having sex with an underage girl in Michigan is getting national attention. 19-year-old Zachary Anderson met the girl through an online dating app. She told him she was 17. Zachary crossed the state line, had sex with the girl, and then she later admitted she was 14 years old. He ended up in a Michigan jail. Now the teen is getting out of jail this week, but he faces a lifetime label as a sex offender on a registry in Michigan. Plus, he cannot use the internet for 5 years. So is this fair or unreasonable punishment for a teenager? And this really brings in this larger discussion of these sex offender registries that kind of spiked in popularity in the 90s.
Stay off the online dating. If I can teach my kids anything, online dating is not a good idea.
The world is very different than it was a long time ago.
I think it's crazy.
But you like to think you take people at their word.
This whole sex registry thing is completely out of control in Michigan and out of line. You could end up on the sex registry for whizzing in the bushes. I mean, it has nothing to do with...
You can, and there are people on it for lewd text. I mean, you have a lot of different variables here.
And there's a lot of kids on it for high school sex between, you know, a older teen and a slightly younger teen. Things that have been going on for generations. And you know, these kids are ending up on the sex registry. You got kids sending naked pictures of each other back and forth, and Jessica Cooper's rounding them up and charging them with child pornography. It's absolutely absurd, and it's serious business, because once you get on the sex registry, well, not only you lose much of your rights, police can show up at your house unannounced, bang through your door, and search your whole house for the next 40 years. And you have a lot of teenagers ending up on it. You have a lot of folks ending up on it who are no threat to the community in terms of a sex criminal.
Well, you think of what was the purpose of going to this idea of a sex offender list was to deal with what? Was to deal with predators,
right.
People who are taking advantage of young people who can't consent, people who are a danger to the community. There are a lot of people, it seems like, who end up on this list who don't fit that description.
If you're still a danger to the community, you ought to be in prison or jail or wherever you were. This idea of perpetual punishment, you're going to serve your time, you're going to get out, but you're going to stay on this registry for another 30 years.
The list was about the difficulty that they have rehabilitating sex offenders, right?
They keep them locked up.
They are more likely to reoffend than some other types of offenders. But I mean, I agree that you shouldn't be on it for 40 years. That's an absurd
40 years or 5. This 17-year-old is not a danger to his community.
He's not, you know, he's 19 years old. And the judge in this case declined to give him a little bit of leniency that is afforded to him because he is a younger offender, which would have had his record
The mother of the girl said, you know, she's a big fat liar. It's not the boy's fault. She misled him. She pleaded for leniency and mercy for this kid, and the judge still ignored.
Okay, so but when you talk to, you talk to lawmakers saying, how can we change the sex offender registry? I mean, no lawmaker wants to be labeled that person saying, hey, I want to go easy on the sex offenders here.
But have you noticed a theme on this show of, here's a good idea, here's something that needs to be done. Why can't it be done? Because there is no one in Lansing who will stand up to either political or ideological
They don't want to see that on re-election literature,
right?
Is that the
we
solution?
should run things.
We have a real systemic problem in Lansing with who's there and what they're willing to do. And I continue to believe that term limits play a huge role in that. I think the way that we draw districts in the state plays a huge role in that. It dissociates people from representing people and lets them represent ideologies and special interests.
I think the governor has a hand on this issue, and they're going to have to review it, particularly if they continue to move toward this affirmative assent or yes means yes legislating. You're going to have half the college kids in America on the sex registry list. I mean, this is getting out of hand.
All right, we're going to watch this case because I believe this young man is now going to withdraw his plea in August. He's going to see if he's going to try to change things down.